Ukraine faces its darkest winter yet as Russia's relentless strikes devastate energy infrastructure. Over 90% of the country's power grid is damaged, pushing millions into chaos. Endless daily blackouts, freezing temperatures have turned survival into a battle for millions in Ukraine. Ukraine claims to have carried out overnight strikes on Novak-Shakhtinsk petroleum plant in Russia's Rostov region. Well, Kiev says that the petroleum plant was the only operating oil refinery in the region used to supply Russia's armed forces. Ukraine's general staff claims his troops damaged the catalytic cracking unit of the plant used for petroleum conversion. Well, as Russia continues its lightning advance at its fastest rate since 2022 across the industrial Donbas region, both the sides are vying for the upper hand ahead of expected peace efforts next year. As the European Union vows that they will deliver additional 30 billion euros of financial support to Ukraine in 2025, Zelensky says that the European security guarantees and a frozen conflict will not be enough for Ukraine, which aspires to join the transatlantic military alliance NATO.
We need effective mechanisms. If we are talking about foreign troops contingent, then specifics. How many? What will they do if there is aggression from Russia? It is important that we raise such questions. It is very important that we have started raising such questions. I believe that European guarantees will not be enough for Ukraine, and this cannot be discussed only with European leaders. Because for us, the real guarantees in any case of today or in the future are NATO.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, on the other hand, says he is ready for talks at any time with US President-elect Donald Trump, who has touted his ability to strike a Ukraine peace deal within 24 hours of coming to office. Trump, who will return to the White House in January, has stoked fears in Kiev that he could force Ukraine to accept peace on terms which are favorable to Moscow. Putin, who held his annual end-of-year press conference on Thursday, claimed that his troops hold the upper hand across the battlefield and that he only regretted not starting the offensive earlier. He appeared to repeat his threat to strike Kiev with Russia's new hypersonic ballistic missile, Oreshnik. Putin suggested a high-tech duel between the West and Russia to test his claims that it is extremely strong to all the air defenses.
I propose to create some kind of technological experiment. Let's call it a high-tech duel of the 21st century. Let them set some target to be hit, let's say in Kyiv. They will concentrate all their air and missile defenses there. And we will launch an Oreshnik strike there and see what happens. We are ready for such an experiment. Is the other side ready?
Amid Russia's unrelenting attacks, Estonia has now urged NATO to contain Russia for the next 20 years. Estonia, which is bordered by Russia and is a member of the alliance, has doubled its defense spending since the war in Ukraine began. And it has increased its defense spending to 3.4% of its GDP this year, the second largest proportion in NATO. A court in Moscow ordered the suspect in the killing of top Russian General Igor Kirillov to be sent to pre-trial detention for a period of 2 months. The suspect, a native of Uzbekistan, was charged with an act of terrorism. He faces a possible life in prison. And well, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani sent us this report from New York.
Russian President Vladimir Putin stated on Thursday that he has not spoken to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump for years, but expressed a willingness to engage in quote-unquote negotiations and compromises over the Ukraine conflict. This statement really signals a potential openness for diplomacy at a time when it's much needed, but skepticism also remains on what compromises Russia might be asking for. This situation highlights the possible shift also in U.S.-Russia dynamics under President-elect Donald Trump. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.